brown yet. And he is a brown Swiss, so that's one of the 7 dairy breeds, and each breed has its own different color pattern. So this one is like a brownish, whitish gray. And each one, you guys are probably familiar with the black and white ones, right? Yeah? So black and white ones are Holsteins, and those were actually the first ones to come to America. Like way back in like the 1800s, like way back then. So one thing, what we do for feeding is we give the calf a bottle of milk twice a day. So the bottle looks like this. In it today we have water with electrolytes, that's why it doesn't look so clear. But what it is, it has a nipple on the top to stimulate an udder with a teat on it, so what they drink when they first are born, what they drink out of when they're first born. And it has this little hole in the top. Do you guys see that? So that hole, we want it to be facing the sky every time you're feeding a calf, because you don't want the calf to get extra lung air in its lungs, okay? We're gonna see if he cooperates this time.
I think he's excited because maybe he's thirsty. Thanks for not being loud. We certainly don't want to make him.
And then the other thing, we always want to keep the bottle above their head, like angled like this, so they don't drink too much at one time. So then the other things that they eat, they get food twice a day. So you guys like to eat 3 times a day, right? Maybe 4 if you get a little snack sometimes, right? Well, they only get to eat twice a day. Yeah. Any question for me?
I can eat 5 days.
You eat 5 times a day? Well, they only get to eat 2 times a day. And when they're little like this, they usually, besides their milk, they usually get corn. They usually get corn, and then sometimes they'll get little pellets. They'll get little pellets that have nutrients in them, and then they'll also get hay. As they get older, they'll get grain and oats along with their corn and pellets. And then they'll eventually, when they're old enough, like to be like bigger heifers and into cows, they'll have what we call TMR or silage, which is a mixture of all of those things. So hay, corn, pellets, oats. It's a whole mixture of all of it. So they eat that, and adult cows can eat up to 100 pounds a day of feed. In one day, they can eat up to 100 pounds. This guy weighs about 100 pounds right now, so an adult cow can eat as much as he weighs in one day. And then what they consume, about a bathtub full of water a day. A bathtub full. Isn't that crazy? You got a question, bud?
Do cows also eat grass?
Yep, they do also eat grass.
Colton, she said grass, but in a different word. She said the word hay. Hay is a special kind of grass. Good question.
Yeah.
I fed a cow before.
You fed a cow before? Yeah. What'd you feed it?
With a bottle.
With a bottle?
My neighbor has cows.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, questions, not a story. Do you have a question? Not a story. I'll hear your story later, okay?
So the other things that we've talked about are why did they have such big ears? That's how they came when they were once wild and then they were tamed animals. They also can hear a lot better with the bigger ears. Another thing is they can see all the way around them except directly behind them. So I would never stand right behind a cow. You guys have any questions for me?
Questions.
Yeah.
What if the cow eats something that it shouldn't eat?
Ooh.
Well, depending on what it is, it could get sick, and then we'll most likely have to call the vet to have the vet come take care of it.
Does everybody know what a vet is? Animal doctor, you know, maybe takes care of your dogs or your cats. We have vets that will come right out to the farm and take care of our cows.
Anybody else have questions? Or
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah.
Are those little ones wilder than the grown-ups?
Not wilder, just more
kind of like my 23 first graders in my class.
Yeah.
Are you guys a little bit more wild than I am?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And all animals have a personality. So like what I referenced earlier was like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You could have the Seven Dwarfs in how many different ways throughout your herd? Yeah, bud.
Why is it so long nose?
Why does he have such a long nose? Well, underneath his nose is his mouth, so his tongue is really, really long. You can't see it right now because he's not sticking it out, but he has a long tongue, so it all has to fit in there. Yeah.
Why do flies go in cows?
Oh, that's a great question.
Flies
You
like
see
to go
that.
on cows just like they like to go on you. So they like to pester you and go on like, we have little sweat glands on our skin. So that's what they like to do with that. And that's why he swishes his tail all the time, is to swat the flies off. Other questions? Yeah.
Why does cows drool a lot?
Why do cows drool a lot? Well, one thing, he just got done drinking his bottle, and that's why he's drooling a lot. So he just had some liquid. But all cows chew their cud, which is like a remnants of food that they've had, and they chew it all day long, and that's why they sometimes drool. Yeah,
We also have really big eyeballs.
he does have
They
very
do.
big eyeballs. That's what helps him see almost all the way around him.
Right. That's a really good observation, Colton. Megan, can you talk a little bit about, when I look at this calf, you know, we talked about milk. Where's the milk come from? Would you talk to us
Yeah.
about that, please?
So this calf is actually a male, so it's different than a normal dairy calf. A dairy calf would have what we call like 4 teats and then an udder on it. As it gets older, that udder will begin to grow bigger, and as it reaches 2 years of age, it'll be almost at its full capacity. So when it gives birth, so at 2 years old they give birth. It's completely different than a human. So it's roughly 2 years they give birth, and their udder becomes full, so that when the calf is born, they can drink the milk right away, and then they can and then also to produce the milk, they all the food that they eat that goes into their body, along with
You just won't buy it.
yeah. Okay, so this is like the milking machine, and up here you can see it's all in your coloring books that you will get as well. But this is their udder with the teats, and they have a little apparatus a little machine that hooks up to all the teats that takes the milk out for you. But in the cow eats all their food, and then all their blood supply passes over this udder for them to be able to produce more milk. And then they get milk twice a day. So,
Can you drink the milk right out of the cow?
I would not recommend it, it's quite warm. But basically you can, so a lot of farms...
Yeah, it won't hurt you.
Yeah, it won't hurt you, but it's warm when it comes out. So what they do is the milk comes out through this machine, and then it goes up into a pipe, and then to in this big, what we call a bulk tank. It's like a big cooler kind of. And you can drink it from there. It's just different from what you get at the store. But after it comes here, a milk truck will come pick it up and take it to the processing plant to put it in like packaging and stuff for you guys to drink here at school, or what your parents might pick up at the store. And it's less than 2 days to get from the farm to where you're drinking it at.
Really?
Yeah.
How do they shoot the flies away from their ears?
With their ears. They
when
flip their ears.
They'll go like this sometimes.
Yeah. So why should we drink milk and eat cheese and ice cream and yogurt?
So milk actually has 9 essential nutrients in it. So besides calcium, I know we talk about calcium as the big
Bless you.
nutrient that's in your milk and milk products that you drink, but there's 9 essential nutrients, and I had found somewhere that you can solely live on milk for the rest of your life. So that just goes to show that you can literally not eat anything or just dairy products for the rest of your life, and you'll be perfectly fine. Yeah.
Does he ever jump?
Does he ever jump? Sometimes, if he gets spooked. Yeah, bud.
Did you find him, or he was on the farm?
So he was on the farm. He was born 4 days ago.
Kaden, do we have cows that just are wild and walk around and run around?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Do we, Megan? Do we have wild animals like
Not
cows?
anymore. There used to be before they were tamed out and before they were like, that people like decided to raise them, they were wild, but now they're all pretty much, you find them on the farm. In other countries you might find them elsewhere, but in America you're going to find them on the farm.
Good question,
Yeah, bud.
Kaden.
When I was on the bus, I seen like cows in the water.
Cows in the water? Yeah. So what they're doing in the water is either they're taking a drink or they're cooling themselves off. So cows get hot just like us. So if they get hot on days like today where it's going to kind of get warm, what we have set up at the farm is we have like big fans that circulate the air and blow cool air on them. Otherwise we have sprinkler systems that they can turn on when it gets too hot, and it'll like get the calves wet and it'll cool them off very well. Yeah, bud.
Why do they get so big?
Why do they get so big? That's just how they were made. So this guy's about 100 pounds and he's only 4 days old. A grown cow can range from about 1,200 pounds to about 1,800 pounds. So that's pretty big.
And Megan, show us how tall would a full-grown animal
It
be?
depends on the breed. So Jerseys are probably about this big, and then a Holstein or a Brown Swiss can almost get as tall as me. And I'm pretty tall. I'm pretty high up there, so they can get pretty tall. It just kind of depends on what breed they are. Yeah.
How tall can a cow get?
How tall can a cow get? It ranges on the breed, so like a Holstein or a Brown Swiss could be as tall as I am, standing like this. So this guy could be as tall as me one day. Yeah.
What does the cow drink juice? Which one has?
If a cow drinks juice, I am not sure. I haven't tested that one out yet.
Usually they don't
Where does
feed
the
them
milk
juice.
come from?
We just feed them water.
Where does the milk come from? So you can't see it on him, but in the picture here, there's the udder up here. That's where this milk gets stored in a cow.
And you'll get that figured out a little bit closer when you get your coloring book after a while, Adeline. That's a very good question. Wow. Thank you very much.
So I do have a surprise for you guys, but I need you guys to tell me some products that milk makes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Ice cream,
Cheese.
cheese,
Butter.
butter, yeah,
Yogurt.
yogurt,
You like yogurt?
Milk.
I do.
milk,
You like flavored yogurt? Stuff with fruit in? What's your favorite?
Cheese.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ice cream.
yeah,
I love cheese.
cheese,
Peach yogurt's awesome.
Yogurt.
yep,
Milk.
sure is.
Yogurt.
Yogurt,
Cheese.
chocolate milk,
Chocolate
yeah.
Oh.
Strawberry milk.
White milk.
White milk.
Yep,
Caramel milk.
yep,
How about cottage cheese?
There you go.
sure is.
Mm.
What about stinky cheese?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Holy cheese. American cheese?
Yep,
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, Noah, good job. I like how you were specific with the kind of cheese.
Sharp.
Sharp cheddar
That's
cheese. Good thinking, Ava.
Monster cheese?
monster,
Monster cheese. It's a type of cheese.
yeah,
Mhm.
I know. Yeah,
Do they make caramel?
sometimes
Yeah, you
they
can
do
make caramel out of milk.
Yep.
Do they sometimes make string cheese?
Yep.
Oh,
Swiss cheese.
Swiss
Swiss
cheese,
cheese.
yeah.
nice. Boy, you guys know lots of different kinds of cheeses.
Do they make blue cheese?
Yep.
White and orange.
White and orange.
Blue cheese.
Blue cheese, yep.
Yeah.
I